Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Right now on WRAL, tens of thousands of customers are still without power this noon after severe storms ripped through the triangle yesterday.
In Durham, the damage is so extensive that schools are closed today. We have team coverage of the aftermath.
And there were almost 200 reports of storm damage from this very front across the country. We're going to show you what the storm reports looked like in our viewing area and Durham specifically.
And we welcome you in this noon. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Thanks for joining us. We're getting a better look today at all the damage left behind by those powerful storms that rolled through yesterday. Lots of power outages and a lot of damage still today. We have live crews in the air and on the ground in Granville County.
And we also have a live crew in Durham County as well this noon. And that's where we begin with WRAL's Monica Casey. And Monica, what are we seeing out there? What are you hearing?
Well, tens of thousands of people here in Durham are still without power. No one in this neighborhood has power right now. We're near the intersection of Markham and Washington Streets near the Duke Park neighborhoods, where crews are working on a large tree across a line down here. No one in this neighborhood has power. All kinds of crews are here, including bucket trucks, tree removal teams, and digging crews to put the new power pole in place. We have seen some neighbors walking around trying to enjoy the small bit of a breeze we have right now. It's been especially tough for families trying to keep kids cool today. I spoke with one woman who nannies for two young boys who was trying to find activities to keep them occupied.
Been trying to find somewhere to go play because it's just been kind of crazy with the storm yesterday. We tried to go to the museum, but it's closed because they had trees down, and then the library was packed because everyone was going there. So we just decided to come to the playground. Yeah, hopefully there's not a lot of debris.
And we have seen people sawing through tree limbs to try to get to their cars in neighborhoods around Durham today. Some say they're planning to find a cool spot for lunch to maybe charge their devices. We do want to warn you, though, we have seen a lot of stoplights still out all around Durham, and it's important that you treat those as a four-way stop if you arrive at one of those. Michelle?
All right, Monica Casey live in Durham. Thanks, Monica. And thousands are still without power across Durham after yesterday's storms. We have Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy joining us on the phone now to talk about restoring that power and when that is going to happen. Good afternoon, Jeff. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
So we're still seeing thousands of people without power. Where are you seeing the biggest problems right now?
Well, Durham County bore the brunt of this storm. I'm actually in Durham right at this moment down off West Markham, and this is an area that has lots of trees. We're seeing lots of downed trees, lots of broken poles, down lines, a lot of just physical infrastructure damage. And again, it goes back to the trees. So it's slow going. A lot of these outages we're restoring may only restore 30 or 40 customers, and there's still about 200 of these locations and 50,000 customers left to go just here in Durham County.
And I think a question that a lot of people have are how long do you expect your crews will be out there working today, and when are you going to get the power back on?
Well, we are working throughout the day. We brought in reinforcements from other parts of the state and even from South Carolina. They're here to add about 1,000 more line and tree personnel to the 1,000 we have. So we essentially doubled our forces between here and Greensboro, and that's going to give us that extra push to get these outages restored. We're going to be working throughout the day, and there's a chance that some of those, could potentially spill into tomorrow. But right now, we're focused on seeing if we can get everything back up today. We know it's hot. We know people want their power back.
Yeah, absolutely. And what advice would you give to someone who may be near a downed power line?
There's a lot of downed lines out here, and you must always assume that those power lines have electricity on them. Stay away from them. Keep your family safe. Even if you're cleaning up debris in your yard, make sure that there's nothing buried there. I would also say there's a lot of utility trucks working along roads today, a lot of closed roads. So please slow down, move over, give them space, be careful. They're trying to help you. Let's get them back home to their families, too.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy. Appreciate the advice there.
Thank you.
We continue our team coverage of the aftermath of last night's storms from a different view. WRAL's Brian Schrader is up in Sky 5 right now to give us a bird's eye view of that damage. Brian, what are you able to see from up there?
Jeff, we're just to the east of downtown Durham. I want to take you to live pictures along Benjamin Street, which is just off of Main Street. This is south of Woodlawn Cemetery. And you can see where power crews right now are doing some of the repair work there. So many downed trees and power lines throughout the city of Durham. Widespread tree damage from last night's storms. And they're still trying to assess exactly how much damage there is to the electrical grid in many spots. I want to take you to some video Sky 5 shot earlier this morning. They found all kinds of...
It looks like we might have lost Brian's connection there, but big trees caused problems when they came down. And he is up there giving us that bird's eye view.
WRAL's Kelsey Coffey now shows us one monster tree that came down in Durham.
When you turn the corner on DeMille and Henson Street in Durham, you can't help but notice this gigantic tree in the middle of the street. And then there's this street light that's fallen on the side of someone's yard. This tree was uprooted and thrown on top of a person's yard in this neighborhood. And neighbors tell me that they've been concerned about trees falling on top of homes for years.
It's just kind of surreal. Our neighbor, she's been really concerned about that tree for some years, and that's what, you see what happened with that.
And the power is still out in this part of Durham. Now, the woman that you just heard from in that clip says that the person who owns this home is safe. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Durham.
Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at all the storm damage reports that have come out, Elizabeth.
All these circles that you see here on the map are reports of wind damage. There were almost 200 of those, all the way from Maryland down into Florida. 10 reports of hail damage and only 1 report of tornado damage. But we're looking at damage, up and down the East Coast here, and only 1 tornado report. But you see all that damage there in Durham County in particular. And of course, you see that, straight line winds can do damage very similar to a tornado. So it was so unfortunate to see that. You can see there were counties that didn't have much wind damage, especially down south around Fayetteville, Clinton, back over toward Rayford. But some clusters of storms from I-95 around Benson, northward up toward Virginia, and then certainly a cluster of those around Durham. And with that cell that continued to head eastward across parts of Wake County and into Franklin County. We take a look here, and this was the strongest wind that we found. This was from the roof of Duke Hospital's helipad, and it was a 72 mile per hour wind. Of course, that's at the top of the building. We weren't able to find any surface winds, but we did have a number of reports of damage, and you can see those scattered here all around Durham. A couple of those down to the south, a few up to the north, and of course there were likely even more trees down than what those reports were. Those reports come in from people who alert the Weather Service to wind damage that they've had, and also the observation stations as well. So this is a look at some of the radar estimated wind speeds, and that's going to be several hundred feet above the ground, 74 to 92 mile per hour winds. It doesn't mean that those were down on the surface, but certainly there were some strong winds up above.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So that cleanup is just getting started at one of the most serious scenes left behind by yesterday's storm. An enormous tree on Moorhead Avenue and Anderson Street brought down power poles, lines, and lights, and it killed a woman in her car. WRAL's Eric Miller has been following this story since it happened. Eric, how are things looking out there this afternoon?
Well, Jeff, this remains an enormously complex cleanup operation, and nearly 20 hours after this tree fell, unfortunately, not much has changed. Just look at this. I mean, this gives you a sense of the impact of when this tree came down. These power poles, these lines, these lights all brought down. And as we go over this way, you look through those branches, you can see some of the power crews that are out here doing triage. We've seen various crews, power crews, telecom crews, coming through here the last 12 to 16 hours. But so much of this has just been looking at how to start fixing this rather than to start fixing the problem. We heard one estimate this morning. This could take 2 days to clear this intersection. I want to send you now to some video from yesterday, give you a closer look at some of this damage here. Durham police say this all started right around 4:20 yesterday afternoon. That's when this tree came crashing down. It did unfortunately kill a woman who was driving her SUV, 78-year-old Donna Warsaw of Hillsborough. Now, this has left such an enormous mess today. It has been amazing. People coming through the area, getting a first look at this damage. Just take a listen to this.
Just from the short drive across town last night and what I see today, it's It seems like it's going to be a long recovery. I'm hoping it's not that long, but I just hope everyone stays safe.
Yeah, again, a long recovery indeed. We've been talking with neighbors here in this area this morning. Some of them have been told by Duke Energy that they can perhaps expect power to be back on right around 11:45 tonight. Still, with potentially days worth of cleanup here, that might happen, that might not happen. We've got folks in the area turning to generators, thinking about maybe going to hotels tonight. It's still so concerning for people who live in this neighborhood. Jeff?
Oh, and tragic as well, right where you stand. Eric Miller live in Durham for us this noon. Eric, thanks.
And severe weather like this is a perfect reminder of why it's so important to have the WRAL weather app with you. It is free and can alert you to watches and warnings in your area anytime. You can download it wherever you get your apps. Well, Fayetteville police are asking for your help identifying the suspects in a recent armed robbery. Take a look at these pictures. The robbery happened on Tuesday, August 8th, around 5 a.m. at the Waffle House on Ramsey Street. Police believe a total of 3 people were involved. One of them, a woman, is seen abandoning the vehicle at the College Lakes Recreation Center. The other suspects are wearing masks and hoods, and at least one of them appears to have a gun. Call Fayetteville police if you know anything.
Take a look at stocks this noon and see how things are moving on Wall Street. You see where the Dow Jones Industrial Average is right now, largely unmoved. S&P 500 just about the same. NASDAQ is the only one with some real movement. It is down 78 points this noon. There's a big hiring event that gets underway in just a few hours at PNC Arena. Home of the Hurricanes wants to hire people for more than 300 part-time positions. Everything from catering department cooks, concessions, security, parking attendants, and much more. Staff would work events like hockey and basketball games, concerts, and comedy shows. If you want to apply for a job, you can go to PNC Arena today from 3 until 6 tonight. You can also apply online by going to pncarena.com/entertainment.
Next at noon, North Korea admits to holding American soldier Travis King, why they say he crossed the border into their country.
Also, Alec Baldwin could again face charges in the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. The new evidence from the Rust movie set.
Plus, 2 Americans spent the night in the Eiffel Tower. The charges they now face after their alleged drunken sleepover.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
Some sad news to report here in the WRAL Live Center, Meredith College, mourning the death of this student. This is Willa Harrington. She was a rising senior at Meredith College. She died in a crash on Highway 210. The university shared this picture of her. She was a history major with a minor in theater. She was also very active in the theater department. Now, on a GoFundMe page the family set up, it said Willa was set to attend the Carolina Renaissance Festival this fall. She also worked at the Tilted Stage, which is a costume shop. Another car crossed the center line on Highway 210 in Harnett County a few days ago, hit Willa's car head on. She was supposed to be a member of the class of 2024 at Meredith College.
For the first time, North Korea is confirming its custody of Travis King, the American soldier who made a dash across the border last month into North Korean territory. State-run media claims the 23-year-old wants to seek refuge there or in a third country. The North claims that King confessed to illegally entering the country to escape maltreatment and racial discrimination within the U.S. Army. The Defense Department says it could not verify North Korea's comments and remains focused on King's safe return. Private King's family has told U.S. media his mental health appeared to have declined after he spent time in a South Korean jail.
A Hong Kong flagged container ship departed the port of Odessa, becoming the first ship to do so since July 16th. That's when a UN brokered grain deal collapsed. The vessel had been stuck in the port since before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It's carrying more than 2,100 containers, including food products. Moscow has not indicated whether it would respect the shipping corridor, and shipping and insurance sources have expressed concerns about safety. Alec Baldwin could be charged again in the deadly shooting on the Rust movie set. Baldwin originally said the gun fired accidentally during a rehearsal, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Baldwin said he pulled back the hammer but not the trigger. But new analysis determined that the gun could only have been fired if someone pulled the trigger. Special prosecutors dismissed an involuntary manslaughter charge against Baldwin back in April.
A longtime friend of Alec Murdaugh is headed to prison for helping him steal millions of dollars in insurance settlements. A federal judge in South Carolina sentenced former attorney Corey Fleming to nearly 4 years. Fleming and Murdaugh met in law school. It's connected to a scheme to steal money from the sons of Murdaugh's dead housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Murdaugh is currently serving life in prison for killing his wife and their younger son.
A shot fired at the King of Prussia Mall in Pennsylvania on Tuesday night is believed to have been an accident. Police say a gun went off near the downstairs food court shortly before 7:30 p.m. The incident forced the mall to go into a temporary lockdown. Officers observed surveillance footage of two men walking near the food court when that single shot was fired. Investigators believe the gun accidentally went off in one of the two men's pockets. The two men ran from the area and fled the scene in a vehicle moments after that gunshot went off. And the Paris prosecutor's office has fined a pair of Americans who spent the night in the Eiffel Tower illegally. Security guards discovered the men in an area normally closed to the public between the tower's second and third levels. They were allegedly intoxicated and said they fell asleep after their tour. The breach comes after two bomb scares at the tower on Saturday forced the monument to be evacuated twice in the same day. Inspectors say nothing was damaged.
High school football is back this Friday. Join us for the 43rd season of Football Friday. Our 30-minute high school football highlight show kicks off this Friday night, 11:35 on WRAL. Also on Friday, the Carolina Panthers are back on the field for their second preseason game. They're on the road at the New York Giants. You can watch it Friday night at 7 o'clock on WRAL.
Football is coming back.
Doesn't feel like fall, though.
It is not at all. It is still very hot, especially after that extreme heat we had yesterday. Still hot out there. Not as hot, though. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner showing us that front that's moved out. That's the storm we saw yesterday.
So we're on the more comfortable side of the front right now. If the front were moving well offshore, it would open the door to some much more pleasant conditions. But it's going to linger pretty close to us, so we're not going to get that nice push. We do see temperatures out there that are going to be 10 degrees cooler than yesterday, which is great. A little while ago, we heard from meteorologist Brian Schrader up in Sky 5, taking a look at some of the damage in Durham. Now he's over Wayne County. And Brian, I understand you see some straight line wind damage, and that could be very interesting to look at from the air.
It's very clear from Sky 5 the kind of damage we saw from that storm. We are on Boyce Road in the far northwestern tip of Wake County, not too far from Falls Lake. And take a look at the way that these trees are blown. First of all, you can see where that tree is blown, or that power line is blown across Boyce Road. But then you see this little patch of trees here on the side of this house, all blown in one direction. And this is the kind of straight line wind damage we saw from those severe thunderstorms yesterday. You know, Elizabeth, as you mentioned there on the top of the building at Duke, they measured a 70-some mile-an-hour wind gust. And I know to a lot of people, when they experience those kinds of winds, it must be a tornado. Well, no, this is just from a very strong thunderstorm, and it underscores how dangerous severe thunderstorms can be, Elizabeth.
Exactly. And we tell people that all the time, but I think it really helps to be able to see the video here and just how much damage you can have. Look at that tree that was completely pulled out of the ground there. And of course, we've seen so much damage across so many of our counties, Durham County, and of course, now over here in Wayne County. We tell people all the time, take severe thunderstorm warnings seriously. They can do as much damage as a tornado can. And boy, there's the proof right there, Brian. All right, Brian, thanks for being with us up there. Great work showing us all that damage that's been done. Let's talk about what's going on right now. At the beginning, we showed you that front that was sitting here in eastern North Carolina, and you can see some cloud cover along that front. West of that front, we're not looking at any cloud cover. It's a little drier here. Our dew points dropped a bit, and here it's a little bit stickier, a little more mugginess, a little more moisture in the atmosphere. And where you see the clouds here is where we are likely to have a few isolated showers or thunderstorms develop this afternoon, just because of the amount of moisture. Here's a look at Futurecast, and we'll zoom in. It looks like these clouds are going to stick with us through most of the afternoon. There's 3 o'clock, and you can see those scattered thunderstorms. Really just the southern part of Cumberland County, parts of Sampson County, and then that slips eastward toward the coast. So most of us aren't going to see these thunderstorms. It's just near that lingering frontal boundary that we'll end up seeing those. And the ones that we do see are not likely to be severe. We'll take it out to midnight with partly cloudy skies. You can see here in Durham, which was the county hit hardest by the storms last night, our sky is completely completely clear. It looks absolutely beautiful. The Durham Bulls have a homestand, and the weather should be fine for that. Amazingly, they were able to get their game in last night after those storms moved through. Right now, it's 85 degrees, and here's the thing that's making it feel so much nicer, at least right here in the Triangle area and westward. We have a dew point of 66. Now, it's not 50s. That feels very comfortable, but we dropped that dew point into the mid-60s. It's a solid 10 degrees lower than what we saw yesterday when the storms were coming through. So you can tell a difference out there. It is going to be hot. We'll see a high of 90 degrees this afternoon, but we hit 100 yesterday. We broke the previous record of 99. So 90 today will be 10 degrees cooler than what we saw yesterday, but still 90 degrees is hot. 89 in Durham and 91 in Fayetteville for the high this afternoon. We'll jump on out and take a look at what it will feel like. Because we have a fairly low dew point, it won't feel much hotter than 90 today, but tomorrow that dew point bumps up. It should feel like 98 tomorrow, and then it's lower for Friday and Saturday, bumps up again on Sunday as our temperatures begin to climb a little bit. It doesn't look like we have much of a chance for a nice cool down anytime soon. Almost the entire country has the potential for above normal temperatures almost through the end of the month. We also don't have a lot of chances for thunderstorms. It's just a 30% chance today, and again tomorrow, same story where that lingering front is. That front moves on by. Temperatures will warm up a little bit. 93 on Friday, 92 Saturday. Just a small chance of thunderstorms almost every afternoon. Just a very typical summer-like pattern that we end up seeing. And our highs over the weekend and into early next week are back into the mid-90s. We are about to move into the peak of the hurricane season. There are 3 different areas that the National Hurricane Center is watching. I'll show you all of them coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. The day before students return to NC State, the university says it's expanding mental health services. Coming up tonight at 5, how counselors hope to reach more students and prevent suicides.
And if you have a final summer road trip planned, or maybe you want to go see the leaves change this fall, 5 on Your Side breaks down if being prepared with roadside assistance is worth the price. And still ahead this noon, a company that helps to pay to get movies made is suing Disney.
Why that lawsuit focuses on James Cameron's blockbuster Avatar sequel.
Plus, one restaurant chain has a new plan to help teachers and students as they get ready for the new school year. We'll tell you how you can help. Disney is accused of withholding profits from a Hollywood financier. TSG Entertainment is involved in hits like Avatar, The Way of the Water, and The Greatest Showman. The company is suing Disney for breach of contract. TSG claims Disney withheld profits and cut deals to boost its streaming platforms and stock price at the expense of its partners. TSG said Disney's actions deprived it of cash it needed to invest in films and its efforts to sell stakes in other movies. Disney has not commented.
Twitter's new changes go past its new name. Some X users are losing access to a popular tool. X Pro, formerly known as TweetDeck, is going behind a paywall. Users are now seeing a prompt to subscribe to X Premium in order to use the tool. Last month, the company announced the feature, which allows users to manage multiple accounts. X Pro is the newest feature to be added to the subscription, along with longer video posts and the ability to edit a post. Chipotle is serving up $100,000 in school supplies to teachers. The Mexican grill company is offering pre-K to 12th grade educators a chance to get some extra support. The Department of Education reports 94% of teachers pay out of pocket to buy classroom supplies. Customers can make nominations until August 18th by visiting teachers.chipotle.com. 350 teachers will be randomly selected to win a classroom kit, which includes notebooks, folders, pencil packs, and more.
After hours of daylight today, we're getting a clearer picture of the damage caused by yesterday's storms. We have live reports from Creedmoor in Granville County coming up.
And developers may have a solution to the housing shortage and surplus of office buildings. Coming up, we'll show you how they may provide a 2-in-1 solution. And here are your winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A lot to clean up and repair in northern Wake County today after yesterday's destructive storms rolled through.
WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is live near the intersection of Old Weaver Trail and Creedmoor Road. Matt.
Yeah, I mean, all along Creedmoor Road here, you see the same kind of damage. These power lines, these are the inactive power lines now, but they all came down the whole way along here. You can even see pieces of the equipment that should be at the top of these power poles is now on the ground here, and it's all because of all these big trees that you see back here. I mean, they just flipped. You can see the ground that came along with them. Almost like if you lifted up a carpet or a rug and those trees fell, taking down those power lines. Now, we've seen crews out here making repairs. There are still about 700 or so Duke Energy customers without power right and around this area. Or 300 Duke Energy, about 700 Wake Electric co-op customers that are without power. A lot of the repairs also happening to homes here. You can see over here, these barns had the roofs, the tin roofs just ripped up like a can that you opened up here. And not too far from here, across the Granville County line, we met Tammy Davis. She lives in a mobile home there. She's been there since 1999. She was in her bedroom there when this storm came through. She heard what she thought was hail falling on her house. It turns out it was pine cones before the trees came down with them.
It was fine, and it just came up all of a sudden. It just came up and came through, and it didn't last hardly no time, and it was over, but it didn't take long for that to happen.
And this is some damage from inside the house there. Those large trees crumpled that mobile home. Davis says she was sitting in the bedroom right there, but she quickly got to the other side of the house. She has 8 little dogs that live in that house with her. She was able to get them all out. They rushed out. They followed her to another room. So everyone is okay there. Now she's just trying to figure out where does she go, especially so she can take all of her little loved babies, her fur babies, along there with her. That's what we're seeing a lot of the repairs happening along here. This cleanup underway. Wake Electric tells me that it should take about another day before everyone has the power back on for co-op members there. There's Duke Energy, 300 or so customers in this area also without power, and we've seen the crews out here making those repairs as well.
Yeah, glad to know that she is okay, though, Matt. Matt Talheim live in Old Weaver Train and Highway 50 in Creedmoor. Thanks, Matt.
And Sky 5 is also in the air over Granville County right now with Brian Schrader surveying some of the damage he's seeing there. Brian?
Jeff, we're not too far from where Matt is. We are off of Dove Road on the, not too far from the Wake Granville County line, just south of Creedmoor. Take a look at the scene below us. This tree that fell between these two homes, not too far from Falls Lake. And you can see that one of those homes is suffering a little bit of damage there on one end, but you can imagine if that tree had fallen just a few feet either direction, it could have been a much different story. Thankfully, we haven't heard about any serious injuries up here, but this is a look at some of the power from that storm that came through here yesterday. You know, the nature of these kinds of straight line winds, you don't see a path of destruction as you see with the tornado, but certainly when those winds do reach the ground, they can cause some serious damage, as you see here on Dove Road. Nothing like the kind of damage that we've seen in Durham as far as how widespread it is, but of course, when it happens in your neighborhood, it's a big deal. Jeff?
All right, Brian, thanks for that. It's live over Granville County in Sky 5.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we want to take you to our coverage of the Maui wildfires. Now, I want to give you this live look at the highway to Lahaina reopening today for the first time to all motorists, but the times will be limited. The highway will open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Hawaii time. It's just after 6:30 in the morning there in Hawaii, so that highway just reopened a little bit over a half hour ago. Now, access to West Maui, though, will be limited to residents, first responders, and West Maui employees. Also today, the White House announcing the President and First Lady will travel to Hawaii on Monday to get a first-hand look at the damage and offer support to the many residents who were displaced and, of course, the grieving residents who've lost loved ones in these wildfires.
Today's county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland, Franklin, and Harnett counties. If you're looking for a way to escape the heat this week, Cumberland County cooling stations will be open through Sunday. Fayetteville Area System Transit is available during normal hours, and county public libraries are also available during normal business hours. The Department of Social Services and Public Health buildings will be open through Friday.
And the Franklin County Health Department wants to help prepare your kids to go back to school. Today, there will be a resource fair with free book bags and school supplies. It's from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Franklin County Health Department. There will also be games, free popsicles, and Frida's tacos.
Happening tomorrow, the second Harnett County Community Day will get underway in Lillington. The county says it's a good way for families to have fun while learning about the resources available to them. There'll be music, food trucks, bounce houses, face painting, and giveaways. It'll be open from 4 to 7 p.m. The North Carolina Food Bank will also give away free produce to the first 500 families who show up. You can register for free at harnett.org.
City centers across the nation are facing two big problems: the housing crunch and office buildings sitting empty due to work from home trends. Developers are still trying to get creative to try and fill the spaces. Old offices turned into classrooms and biotech labs. Residents say they like the novelty of living in an old office space, but reinventing is not so easy.
Nobody wants to have a city backdrop that has unoccupied buildings that are decrepit and generally not attractive for their city. And so this is somewhat of a watershed moment to make sure that our cities can reinvent themselves.
San Francisco officials are making efforts to adjust current building codes and get rid of extra fees for office to residential projects. In Washington, D.C., the mayor wants to put more money into a tax relief program for office conversions. And for people with diabetes, you may soon be getting a much-needed discount on insulin.
How the drug is becoming more accessible and where you can go to get it for a low price.
Plus, if you're a new parent, you have to have them, but the price of diapers is on the rise, where families in need can get a little help to offset that cost. Well, many parents know buying diapers can be expensive as prices have continued to rise since the pandemic, and that's putting a strain on family budgets. In 2019, the average price for a pack of disposable diapers was $16.54. Now the average price is up by over $5. Diaper banks across the country provide free diapers and pull-ups to families who can't afford them.
It also forces people to cut back on other things that they need, like cutting back with entertainment, food, utilities, rent, so it impacts so many areas of people's lives.
19 states have eliminated diaper taxes. In North Carolina, only diapers supplied by a prescription are tax exempt. If you or someone you know is in need of diapers or pull-ups, you can contact the Diaper Bank of North Carolina or the Diaper Train.
Amazon is announcing a new way to lower the cost of insulin on its pharmacy sites. The company says the online pharmacy will automatically apply coupons on several insulin and diabetes care brands. The Amazon discount means many of the prescriptions will start as low as $35 a month. Some drug companies have also agreed to cut prices to make it more accessible for those in need.
Clear the Shelters. NBC's annual pet adoption campaign continues all month long. Each day, WRAL highlights a participating shelter in our area. And today's featured shelter is Safe Haven for cats. One of them is Nessie. This gorgeous boy is 10 months old. He has 3 legs, but it doesn't slow him down. And this is 10-year-old Kylo. He's described as a snuggle bug who loves attention. And this tuxedo cat could be the perfect addition to your family. You can find all of these adoptable pets and more on WRAL.com/shelters. Well, coming up, last year, more than 21,000 organ donors brought new life to recipients and their families. But one racial group still struggles to find a match: the urgent need for diverse donors. When we return.
Also, a firefighter is reunited with his search and rescue dog after searching nearly 24 hours for her. Turns out she was just trying to beat the heat. Find out where she turned up after the break.
August is National Minority Donor Awareness Month. It's a time of celebrating organ donation and educating people about transplantation by encouraging donor registration and promoting healthy living. In the U.S., 17 people die every day while waiting for an organ transplant. Nearly 60% of people on transplant waiting lists come from minority communities, while about 30% of donors are people of color. Blood types and antibodies tend to correlate with various ethnic groups.
2 of the 4 divers saved off the Carolina coast are sharing their story only on WRAL. A father and son spent 16 hours at sea before being rescued by the Coast Guard. Chelsea Donovan shares their story only on WRAL.
On that tiny raft, 4 men who had been bobbing up and down in choppy waters.
I knew God was going to save us, and he had other plans for us.
In the ocean, 46-year-old Dr. Daniel Williams, his 15-year-old son Evan, 64-year-old Ben Wiggins, and 26-year-old Luke Lodge, who had set out Sunday morning for a routine dive near Frying Pan Shoals.
So it's going to be a good day.
All four went 85 feet down. Williams' two younger sons, 8 and 11 years old, were on the dive boat with the captain.
So that's the boat captain in the sunglasses.
When the four came up, the dive boat had drifted some 300 yards away.
We were all constantly trying to swim close to the boat, but we're quickly realizing that we're just getting further away.
They spotted Frying Pan Tower in the distance and started swimming in that direction.
We swam for about 4 or 5 hours until almost dark, trying to get closer. But then, as we kept watching, we realized it was futile.
Panic set in, then the power of prayer.
The only way this is going to work out is faith in God, prayer together, and staying positive.
Hours ticked by, total darkness, no food, no water, no rescue. Williams stayed awake using his SOS strobe light to signal helicopters now flying overhead.
Point at it, nothing happening.
Then a miracle.
I don't know how to describe it. It started coming, it came closer and closer. I woke everybody up. We're all now shining our lights in the air, strobe lights going up. And it comes down, it just does this flyover right over the top of us. And at that point,
after 15 hours at sea, the Coast Guard spotted the men.
It's almost like looking up for a watermelon in the ocean.
By dawn, the four men were reunited with their frantic families at Oak Island. An improbable saga at sea with an unbelievable ending.
and then the moment I saw my kid come running to me down the dock, and I fell on my knees on the ramp, and I just held him tight and said I was sorry.
Sorry for putting a scare into all of them. It all started. They got off their boat and dove down, and the currents under the water were so strong when they came up, they were hundreds of yards away from the boat and just couldn't reconnect.
Yeah, currents can be very, very dangerous. I'm just so happy they're all okay.
No doubt.
So lucky.
No doubt. It's a miracle. Elizabeth Gardner's over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. A decent day out there for August, right? So far.
Yeah, finally, a quiet day after everything that we saw yesterday. We have nice bright skies in a lot of places. You can see Apex and here in Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. The farther east you go, the more cloud cover we're seeing. So you can see more clouds in the sky in Goldsboro, but it's still a sunny day. We're looking at partly cloudy skies in Fayetteville there, right in front of our Fayetteville newsroom. Temperatures are not nearly as hot as yesterday. Of course, earlier in the newscast, we talked about the fact that we hit 100 yesterday. We also hit 115 for the heat index, and that's the hottest heat index we've ever hit at RDU. We tied it. We've hit 115. We tied it yesterday. And so it feels like 88 degrees. I mean, what a world of difference. This time yesterday, we were already sitting at 109. So definitely feels more comfortable, more like what you'd expect for August today. Southern Pines, 84, and the heat index is 84. It feels like 91 in Fayetteville. It feels like 88 in Clinton, where it's 83. Notice these clouds here. These clouds, 83 in Goldsboro and Clinton, helping to keep those temperatures down just a little bit. And then pretty pleasant in Roxborough right now, 79 with a dew point of 79. It feels like 90 in Rocky Mount with a heat index with an actual temperature of 84. We're looking at a bit more moisture over here near this front. So the farther south and east you go, the more there is a heat index to deal with. And the farther north and west, the less heat index we have. That cold front will be a player in our weather for the next day or so. As it sits there, it's become stationary there along the coast. And if we have any showers and thunderstorms develop, it'll be along that front. So we'd be talking about Fayetteville, down towards Sampson County, potentially Wayne County and eastward. Really, it's going to be along and east of I-95. We're not likely to have any storms, say, around Sanford, Raleigh, northward or westward of there. Futurecast showing that cloud cover that lingers at 2 o'clock. We're dry, but late in the afternoon, say 4 or 5 o'clock, we could see a few isolated storms down to the south and a little closer to the coast, but none of those are likely to be severe. And it'll be partly cloudy through the evening. Could be a little bit of patchy fog overnight tonight in our south and eastern counties, but it's not likely to be we're not likely to see any of that around the triangle. Here's a look at how much rain we saw yesterday. Interestingly enough, Durham was one of the counties hit hardest by wind, but not so much by rain. There was a little over half an inch of rain that fell there in that area in blue. But down around parts of Johnston County, as you headed over toward Wilson, Nash County, even Franklin County, we had as much as 2 to 3 inches of rain, and there were some flood advisories posted there. Still looking at a lot of power outages in Durham. We've seen a good bit of improvement there. for some of our other counties, especially Wake County and the counties north near Virginia. We have 3 areas of interest here in the tropics. One here in the Gulf of Mexico with a 20% chance of developing. We have a 40% chance of developing this one, and this one's gone up too to a 40% chance. So we're watching those coming off the coast of Africa. Of course, we're moving into the peak of the hurricane season. It actually peaks specifically on September 10th, but from here on out through the middle of September, we consider that whole period the peak. We're looking at a lot of heat building as we get into the weekend and early next week, back into the mid-90s.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Call it an early birthday gift or the ultimate clapback.
Yeah, 1 month after Keke Palmer's boyfriend tried to body shame her for the outfit she wore as she danced with Usher, she and the award-winning entertainer are teaming up for a new project. We'll have a preview when we come back.
We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines that we are following for you today. You see the DBAP right there, and they played baseball last night after all the storms rolled through. But right now, Duke Energy crews are working to get power back on after the storms last night. Tens of thousands of people in Durham still don't have electricity. Durham Public Schools canceled classes for students today because of the damage.
And the storms turned deadly when a tree came down on an SUV. 78-year-old Donna Warsaw was killed. This happened on Moorhead Avenue and Anderson Street in Durham. Multiple trees are still down in that area, and power crews are working on getting downed power lines back up. Now, this is the only death authorities have announced directly related to the storms.
Wake County still has cleanup to do. 300 Duke Energy customers in the northern part of the county don't have power. 723 Wake Electric customers are in the dark. An apartment complex on Timber Lane in Raleigh was damaged after a tree came down on part of that building. WRAL's coverage of the severe storms from last night will continue throughout the day on air and on WRAL.com.
Usher and Keke Palmer are together for a musical collaboration. The duo teamed up for a music video for his song titled Boyfriend. This is a snippet of the music video filmed in Las Vegas, where Usher has extended his residency until October. Usher sings "Somebody Said That Your Boyfriend's Looking for Me," and the single comes 1 month after the two made headlines when he serenaded Palmer during a show. Well, Palmer's then boyfriend drew social media's wrath after he tried to publicly body shame her for what she was wearing.
A trained search and rescue dog in Arizona forcing its owners to go on a search of their own. When she got lost, Moxie's owners scoured the area looking for her, handing out flyers and asking if folks had seen where she'd been, if spotted anywhere, until she was found a few blocks over, just taking a swim in the pool.
There was one more house that didn't answer. I sent my wife over with a flyer to see if they saw anything. A neighbor across the street came out, and my wife said, "Hey, have you seen this dog by chance?" And he looked at it and he said, "Oh, yeah, she's actually in the backyard swimming with my wife right now."
Moxie is a trained search and rescue dog. She works with the Phoenix Fire Department and FEMA to help find missing people.
So she deserved that break in the pool. I love it. Well, our pet of the day comes to us from Cat Angels Pet Adoptions. Found lost and alone, Wisteria was brought to Cat Angels, where she gave birth to 5 kittens. They're each finding their forever homes, and she is still searching for hers as well. To meet her in person, you can fill out an application on Cat Angels' website.
NBC News Daily is up next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.